across parts of the Mississippi Valley continuing today, leaving a trail of damage across several states. We're bringing you the latest on these storms and what we're currently tracking.
And we're going to bring you the latest on the first low weather day for your Sunday. Plus, talk about the drop in temperatures expected next week.
Plus, with just 2 months until the start of hurricane season, we're on your side with the latest outlook from Colorado State University and what we could potentially expect in the months ahead.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
And first, an active severe weather pattern beginning yesterday as states ranging from Missouri to Arkansas to Kentucky saw large and devastating tornadoes. It's caused 8 fatalities and multiple injuries across several states. Check out these videos from Arkansas and Kentucky as those storms move through. Lake City, a lot of areas there, Lauren, Tania, just incredibly active. That pattern actually continuing today as parts of Tennessee now seeing multiple tornado warnings. This is video shared by Freddie Dixon on Twitter X of a tornado warned storm out of Spring Hill, Tennessee earlier this afternoon. You can hear the outdoor warning sirens as folks there, of course, seeking shelter. Once again, another active day with a tornado watch and still ongoing tornado warnings at this time.
Man, this thaw front is just causing so many issues across parts of the country.
Well, you guys talked about this yesterday. I mean, we are just right there on the edge, and that ridge is saving us. That's why it's so windy across the state.
Right.
Yeah.
That ridge
warm.
is really protecting us.
It really is. It's literally keeping us in a bubble. And so we've been a lot drier. Yeah, a few showers, maybe an isolated storm, but I mean, nothing compared to what people are seeing to our north and west.
Yeah, it's holding right now, and it looks like we will keep those storms back to the west and north of us for now. But that is going to change with time, and that's why this weekend we have declared a first alert weather day. Let's go to the graphics. We'll show you what the next big thing is. And first up, I was noticing it was raining a few moments ago here on our camera at Vernon. We've had some isolated showers tracking north across West Alabama. You can see there, nothing severe, but there are a couple of pop-ups, and we're going to see more of these tomorrow and again during the day on Saturday. But it's Saturday night and into Sunday when those storms will start to move into our region. How about this warm weather out there? Temperatures in the 80s. You know, that's the way it is. We go from cold weather and jump right into summertime. But listen, next week, it's back to jacket weather, so don't put away the jacket. I mean, we're talking some 30s coming back from morning lows next week, and you know, with that kind of change, going from this kind of weather to temperatures back in the 30s, we're going to have an impactful system move through the state, and that's why we're watching. Look at this, another confirmed tornado warning. This is south of Nashville. We're tracking 2 long-track supercells here. We had this one, it actually started producing warnings, and one of those included the northwest corner of Alabama in Lauderdale County, but now that's moving to the north, and you see that dark area there, likely a hail core with this. Some very large hail, damaging winds. That is about to cross Interstate 65, so if you have any friends, family traveling north on 65 towards Nashville, they need to wait on this storm to cross the interstate because it is likely producing a tornado at this time. That warning still in effect, and that may continue north towards Shelbyville and Murfreesboro there in Tennessee, even the Nashville area. Look at tomorrow. Once again, another moderate risk, level 4 out of 5. Could this be upgraded to a high risk overnight? We'll wait and see, but this is the Storm Prediction Center outlook. Same areas there from East Texas back into northern Arkansas during the day tomorrow. Again, that all stays to the west of us because of that high pressure ridge that's centered to our east. We're sort of wedged in between, and that's driving up those wind speeds, which will remain quite gusty. Now this weekend, it all starts to slide our way. That is going to happen as we go into, actually, let me back up here. Let me go back to there we go. We'll go back to the map. You can see the timing on this, 1 a.m. to 2 o'clock on Sunday. There will be a risk for isolated tornado damaging winds and hail as that moves through. That level of severity will be less compared to what we're seeing back to the west right now, but it will be there, and we certainly need to be alert. This looks to move through during the morning on Sunday with some improving weather as we go into the afternoon. But we'll certainly be tracking it. We're going to go back and walk you through some of that new forecast data, forecast radar data coming up, but a lot that we are also watching as we go to Lauren.
Thanks, Wes. Hi, it's me, Tania, but it's okay. Taking you back now to Arkansas, where recovery efforts and restoration efforts are continuing after a large tornado impacted the Lake City area yesterday evening. Check out this drone footage from our sister station KAIT in Jonesboro, Arkansas. You can see homes nearly leveled and debris scattered. The tornado causing authorities to issue a tornado emergency due to this storm. As of now, preliminary data is saying from the National Weather Service that the damage from this tornado could have been an EF3 with peak winds at 150 miles per hour. One resident calling the quick action they had to take to get to safety.
I just knew that it was going to get bad, so I took me and my family to the nearest shelter, and that's on Talon and Catfish. When the first one touched down, we watched it come through, but we was hoping it missed our house. But as soon as we drove up, we realized we have nothing left.
And a similar situation happening in Selmer, Tennessee late yesterday night. This is the daytime view of the devastation left across the area. Preliminary data also calling for an EF3 that struck with peak winds at 160 miles per hour. Surveys have currently been suspended due to the ongoing storms across the Mid-South. And in Potosi, Missouri, an EF1 tornado, in Potosi, Missouri, an EF1 tornado brought damage to parts of the area earlier yesterday. Justin Andrews from our sister station KMOV has the latest on the devastation left by this storm system.
Yeah, we're just about 4 to 5 miles outside of Potosi, and just look at the damage that we're seeing from this fence here. We're right along 185, and we're seeing deep devastation out here. Thursday morning, Chance Weidman had to pop off the tire to his now damaged trailer to fix it.
We was at work and we all walked out of the shop and the sky got real green. You never expect that they'd be hitting right behind the shop.
He rode out this storm a few miles from town and watched this twister right here tear through Potosi and towns nearby. Once it passed, he went from watching the tornado to working it.
There was people that needed help, so we brought chainsaws, skid steers to come through the road and help clear out and get to people's houses.
His buddy's property along 185 near Long Roy Farm Road was brought to bear.
Completely leveled Gary's place, and the only thing we'd do was just go to the shop, go to help him. He was actually stuck in his basement, and we got him out of there.
First Alert 4 seeing tornado-wrecked homes along 185 a few miles from Potosi. As we surveyed the deep devastation to people's lives, we noticed power poles pushed down to the pavement, cars and equipment tossed like toys, and barn buildings battered.
You'd really never expect something like that to happen. I've never seen damage up close like that. You always see it on TikTok or Facebook or people filming. You never expect it to be right in your hometown. I mean right through your backyard.
Another shift of emergency responders and ambulance crews arrived in Potosi Thursday morning to begin cleanup. Debris was so scattered along roadways there, emergency help and people like Chance had to cut their way into disaster zones to make sure all were accounted for. These images illustrate just how much the victims here lost. As they try to wrap their minds around it all, they know rebuilding only happens with one another.
As everybody else around here too, they have the whole community on their side right now.
We know it's going to be a busy day as the cleanup continues. We also know that survey teams with the National Weather Service will be near Potosi surveying this damage. Near Potosi, I'm Justin Andrews, First Alert 4.
And we do want to look at the storm reports that we have seen with this expansive system. I mean, it has been stretching all the way from the Great Plains into the Midwest, into the Ohio River Valley, and almost getting into parts of the Mid-Atlantic and the Appalachians. So where you see the whites popping up here, those indicate wind damage reports. And then where you see the little red icons popping up, where you can really see that bullseye too from Arkansas, even into parts of northern Mississippi, West Tennessee, West Kentucky, and into eastern Missouri, even farther west across Missouri into Kansas and Oklahoma. That's where we do have those tornado reports in place. So this has been certainly a very prolific system. And this all comes as yesterday, April 2nd, is now the third largest storm reporting day with 728 severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings issues. It leads behind May 30th, 2004, and a day we know very well around these parts, April 27th, 2011, which had 881 severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings. This is according to the Iowa Environmental Mesonet, which is a partner of the National Weather Service. And we're bringing it back home in 30 seconds as we talk about the newest update to the drought monitor and the newest relief efforts for farmers impacted by the extreme conditions during the winter season. We'll be right back. Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan. I wanted to show you where we are tracking a few showers right now. I almost don't even want to call them thunderstorms because in our neck of the woods, we're just not seeing a lot of lightning. Obviously, if we were to zoom the radar view out and consider what's going on to the northwest, we would see a lot more lightning strikes. But as we keep saying, we're protected by that ridge of high pressure. That little heat bubble has yet to pop. So all we're seeing right now are a couple little spotty showers. We've got one little shower moving through Haleyville. Sulligent seeing a shower nearby that is lifting towards Highway 278 approaching Guin. And then we also have a little shower just south of I-22 between Parrish and Dora. So that's about it for right now. But another thing we do want to note is that winds have been pretty breezy today. We've been seeing winds coming in out of the south gusting up to 25-30 miles per hour in some spots. The breeze isn't going to be letting up. It's still going to be breezy tomorrow, and we have a first alert for windy conditions as we get into your Saturday. And of course, with the First Alert Weather Day on Sunday, also looking for that potential for some storms that could bring some damaging wind gusts. So I know we say March comes in like a lion, but dang, I gotta say April's kind of coming in like a lion itself. But let's zoom in to get the latest drought monitor update. We always get these coming in on Thursdays, and this data is updated from this past Tuesday. Honestly, most of the state of Alabama, not too bad. You will notice across west central Alabama, we do have an area where we see a little bit of moderate drought, but most of us are just seeing some abnormally dry conditions. So where are those abnormally dry conditions? Well, they're almost lining up right along that I-2059 corridor here in central Alabama. So we could certainly use some more rain, and surprise, surprise, we do have a first alert for some more rain back in the forecast, Tania.
We certainly do, Lauren, but I have some good news for farmers across the state. Relief is on the way for those who were affected by the drought earlier this year. The USDA declaring 38 counties in Alabama as primary natural disaster areas. This declaration means that those farmers impacted are now eligible for emergency loan assistance to help recover their production losses.
So many farmers are planting winter grazing, and so even though they used to would kind of cut it off in the fall, let's just say October, November, whenever, when grass quit growing, because you weren't supposed to depend on grass during the winter anyway. Now, because people are planting fescue and ryegrass and different things to try to save on the amount of hay and feed you have to use during the winter.
Excuse me, West Alabama having 10 of those 38 counties declared as a drought disaster area. But let's talk about the record heat here across central Alabama. We've been following this very closely, but one of the things that I just wanted to walk you guys through is the fact that, hey, listen, we have more days with near record afternoon highs. But let's talk about today, April 3rd, okay? Starting off with Birmingham, did we beat a record? Well, this is from yesterday, I believe, 87. Broke the record by 1 degree back in 2012. This is from April the 2nd. This is yesterday's broken records. Anniston, 87, tied the record from back in 1978. And Tuscaloosa with a high of 88, tying the record from back in 2006. And I believe today, the only city that broke the record was Tuscaloosa. So the other areas were shy about a few degrees. We'll have more on that coming up a little later. I'll probably show it in our Beyond the 7-Day forecast. But be sure to scan the code on your screen to download the First Alert Weather app as we keep you up to date. And if you look right here on your screen, you can Scan that QR code. You can get alerts where you live, hour by hour forecast updates. It also pinpoints your exact location. You can take a look at live radar and guess what? Submit your weather photos. And speaking of taking photos, maybe the weekend.
Oh yeah.
Poses a great chance to get outdoors and take some nice pictures.
There are, and especially when sometimes even when the rain is coming through, we want to see those photos of the clouds too.
Yeah.
Not just the pretty sunshine and the flowers.
And the
Tania.
sunsets. We want to see it all.
Yeah, we do. Of course, do it safely, but we do want
Yes.
to see it all. So, Tania, let's look ahead to that weekend forecast.
Okay, it doesn't look too bad.
No.
No, I will tell you one thing though, Lauren. I know people are like, okay, I see rain on Saturday, but Saturday doesn't look like a washout. I think that greatest rain chance Saturday will be later into the evening.
Right, yeah. So most of Saturday is going to be dry. Granted, it's going to be ridiculously humid and it's going to be pretty warm and it's
breezy.
going to be windy. But Sunday is when we do have that first alert weather day when the weather's going to be more impactful. But as we've been talking about, that severe risk is pretty low. It's just going to be a lot of rain and storms around.
Absolutely, but you do want to make sure you're staying weather aware and up to date. We just talked about how you can use the First Alert Weather app to get those updates, but there are other events happening this weekend. We'll probably talk more about this a little later, Lauren.
Mount Laurel Spring Festival.
Hey,
You
that's
wanna
one
be
of
there?
them. You're going to be there?
Oh, no, I'm
Oh.
not. Unfortunately,
Oh.
I have to work. Are you going to be there? Okay, well, y'all should go because we can't be there. But don't go anywhere. Tania, we are going to be bringing you
The latest on that storm threat for your Sunday and that big cool down on the way. Plus, we're headed to the tropics as we prepare for another hurricane season. We'll be right back with more First Alert Weather Extra.
And welcome back into Weather Extra. We are tracking a little bit of rain out there. You can see there's a tornado watch that's north of Alabama. More confirmed tornado warnings south of Nashville. Look at this. There's a tornadic storm right now crossing near Spring Hill, Tennessee. This is about to cross Interstate 65. And there's going to be more. Look at this lining up back to the west. More of these tornadic storms possible tonight moving northeast. As for us, all this stays to the north. In our area, there are a couple of showers as we go to live radar out of Birmingham. You can see around Tuscaloosa, a couple little tiny showers over towards Cottondale and Duncanville, also around Dora and West Jefferson, a little shower moving north. Coleman, a little bit of rain not far from Smoke Rise and Warrior, that's moving north. And then you can see north of Haleyville and over towards Guin, and that's moving towards Hamilton. But no lightning showing up with this, so it's mostly just some scattered showers along there on the radar controls as we just kind of scan what's happening around the state here. As we go to future radar, notice tomorrow most of the days dry until the afternoon. That's when we could start to see again some pop-ups across the western part of the state. No severe weather for us tomorrow. All that severe weather stays back to the west. And actually most of Saturday, the severe weather stays to the west. But it's Saturday evening. We're now starting to see some high resolution data. Notice by 4:30 Saturday, that line of storms, it could start to work into the area. May not completely push through though. Notice it shows Saturday night maybe what's left of some of those storms reaching our northwestern areas. But that main push with the line of storms, there it is right there, moves through Sunday morning there, 7 a.m. You can see by 8 o'clock in the morning, and then by 10 o'clock in the morning, this is over East Alabama. So that's when we got to watch out for that risk of some damaging straight line winds, isolated tornado threat. Until then, very warm, very windy, limited rain chances until late Saturday night and again into Sunday. And then colder next week. We're talking 50s and 60s, overnight lows in the upper 30s.
And it's time for that Beyond the 7-Day forecast. Taking a look right now at the Climate Prediction Center's outlook from April the 11th through April the 17th. As we look across the U.S., much of the United States is going to be dealing with more above average temperatures. But hey, we are not included in that. More near average with below average temperatures further along the East Coast, the southern portions of the East Coast. But as we continue to look, I'm seeing, hey, April the 11th, 30s in our forecast. Still some really cold air going to be settling in as we approach the middle portions of this month. And here we are looking at April the 13th, still seeing some 40s, some 30s further north of our state. And I think, hey, if there's rain or moisture around, some areas might just be getting some flurries and some snow later into next week. And I would say later beyond the 7-day. We're talking about 10 to 15 days out. April the 17th, I'm seeing a slight warm up, so maybe we'll get back near average. But as far as precipitation, we're going to stay below average. So I'm not seeing any snow chances here across central Alabama, but definitely some cooler weather on the way, especially next week. Lauren?
Yeah, Tania, and it is hard to believe that we are so close to seeing the hurricane season arriving. We've already been dealing with spring severe weather season, but Colorado State University, they are some great tropical researchers, and they release a seasonal hurricane outlook each year. And so they have released their outlook. We'll get the one from NOAA in a few weeks. But on average, each Atlantic hurricane season, this is looking at data since 1990, you have about 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 4 major hurricanes. That's category 3 or higher. But the forecast from Colorado State is slightly above average. So we're looking at the potential for 17 named storms, 9 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. So what is going into this forecast? Well, right now we're in a La Nina pattern, which means in the Pacific Ocean, in the equatorial Pacific, you have strong trade winds. This allows temperatures on the ocean surface to be cooler. And what happens in one part of the ocean on one part of the globe can affect the ocean on another part of the globe. So this type of setup in the Pacific, known as La Nina, can actually cause less wind shear in the Atlantic and in the Gulf and the Caribbean. And hurricanes don't like wind shear because wind shear will rip a system apart. So less wind shear, that's prime development. So right now we're in La Nina, but forecasters are saying there is the potential that we could move to neutral conditions. That means you have normal trade winds in the Pacific. And so what that would mean in areas like the Atlantic, even the Western Pacific or the Eastern Pacific off of the Gulf Coast, or off of the Western Pacific Ocean, or the Eastern Pacific Pacific off of the west coast of Mexico would lead to normal conditions. So we will see if we end up transitioning from La Nina to that neutral pattern, because that could end up impacting the forecast. But here are the names for the next season, and we'll have a final look at your forecast after the break.
All right, watching the weekend for those storms back in the forecast, but we're going through quite a change here. We have 80s, feeling like summer, and then colder next week.
I know. I said I wasn't too excited about it getting colder next week. Tania said, bring it all, no.
Hey, highs in the 60s, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
That's what, look, we jump right into summertime. It always happens like this. But listen, we're watching all that stormy weather to the west. We'll have updates on what the weekend holds. That's all coming up tonight, first at 9.